Welcome to Make Sylacauga Healthy Again. I'm your host, Dr. Jonathon Douglas from Broadway Spinal Care. And today we're going to do a quick little history lesson. In the early 1900s, chiropractic, osteopathy, and medicine all worked together. And they were looking at diet and lifestyle and, believe it or not, even how frequencies could bother you. There were chiropractic hospitals where people who were sick would go and receive treatment, and they'd make sure they're eating good things and exercising and getting all kinds of manual therapies, and the success rate was really high. And then there was a discovery of drugs, and especially with penicillin, there was a branching of these. So chiropractic, osteopathy stayed in what was considered the alternative world, even though alternative was really the way medicine was practiced for all of history before that. And then there was the medical side, which had the lobbying and the money behind it from drugs and pharmaceuticals. And so those two split. And in our chiropractic profession, I would say I never really thought, we've had people we work with, and we work great with the medical community, with lots of providers, but I never thought I'd see the medical community really talking about things that are chiropractic and alternative and natural again. And then when RFK got in office, I mean, we're talking about things now that were talked about in the early 1900s, and if what we're doing in what you call mainstream medicine is right, then we should be healthier now, and we're not. So we're going to talk about outside the box today. We've got an expert on that. And one thing somebody told me one time, this makes a lot of sense to me, if you want to see a box completely, you have to be outside the box to get that view. We're going to talk about that. Stay tuned. So I have a special guest with me here today, a friend and a colleague, and someone who's been on a health journey. This is Kim Hardy.
Hi.
And we have known each other for a little while now.
Yes, ma'am. We have.
And we share quite a few people that we know also.
We do.
And we appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about your health journey, and then we'll get into a little bit about what you do also.
Well, great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. After a pretty intense career in healthcare, by the way, on the insurance payer side, and putting my kids through college, I found myself in a place where I just didn't feel good. And I was trying to do various things about my health, lose weight. I had knee pain and shoulder pain and, this and that. So, my direction from my doctor had been, just lose weight, just lose some weight, just lose weight. So after going through all the things to try to do that and not losing weight, I was just really at this, frustrated level. But I had the opportunity, I was exposed to a few natural treatments, particularly related to inflammation and how to reduce inflammation in your body. And I began to do a few things, and also had the opportunity to have a thermography, and it showed some issues in my spine. Thermography is a test that shows, it's like a natural PET scan.
It looks at the heat differential from side to side on your spine, and if you have some misalignments, then you have more spasm, and it pulls more heat, and so you can see those differences.
Well, that's how I ended up seeing you. But I had some issues in my spine. So when I came down to Sylacauga for the chiropractic visit, I found that I had several different things going on, but I had shared, that I was working on inflammation, and you told me then, until you can really change the food that you're eating, you can do all these external inflammation things, but they're not going to be enough. You're not going to be able to keep up with it, and that really made an impression on me that day. So not long after that, I was able to find I really got into my diet and began to really take out inflammatory things. You told me to give up tomatoes, and I was, kicking and screaming.
People fight that like crazy. I know. This time of year especially.
Exactly.
Yes.
You love some summer tomatoes.
I know.
But anyway, so I worked on that, really worked on changing my diet. Over that course of that time, I also I worked primarily on my diet, but I also tried to increase the amount of water I was drinking and the quality of the water. Looking at the purification of it, the mineralization, and those things. So, really looking at some natural. These things have been available forever, but nobody really ever instructed me. It was always just lose some weight, and you could take a shot to lose weight, you could take pills to lose weight, you could do all these things, but I didn't really want to do that. My mom was a nurse, my grandmother was a nurse, and so I grew up. My medicine was orange juice and chicken soup and a day on the couch, right? Like that's what you did when you were sick. Mm-hmm. So I really was sort of inclined towards more natural options anyway. And when I really got on that bus, if you will, I saw it really make a difference.
I got you. And she's way more on the bus than what she's talking about here, because she has an amazing center in the Greystone area,
yes.
Balance, Infusion, and Wellness, and she helps a lot of people go on this journey.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, exactly. And I mentioned my mother earlier. She found out about 5 years ago that she had Lyme disease. And there's not a lot of treatment. It's difficult to get a Lyme diagnosis, for one thing.
We could talk for hours on Lyme.
Okay, so I won't go there.
Yes.
So she, but when she got some treatment in Florida, Clearwater, Florida, when she came back to Birmingham, she was looking for some things to do, and she really couldn't find them anywhere. And so, even though she's in her 70s, she wanted to open a place that she could help people and share some of the things that she had learned through her health journey. And that's really where I started too. We have a number of holistic therapies or integrative. This is not designed to necessarily replace you going to your doctor, but it is a supportive. It's an integrative, something you could integrate into your lifestyle and into your your wellness pursuit that are really foundational kinds of things. These things can actually reach your cellular level. That's where your health can actually change. You can actually heal by improving your cell function.
And I've seen this. In Washington, we had so many centers that were like yours.
Okay.
And so we worked with them, and it's funny what outside the box is in Alabama versus West Coast, because we're so inside the box on what you're doing with frequency help and then IVs and all these things. And so that's just something we talked about on a daily basis. And then here we talk to people, and I've never heard of that. And so we were excited to see that there was something like your place here, because when people talk about a health journey, it is a journey, and your body requires maintenance. It really does, and everybody finds different ways to maintain, but you help people get better and then also have a pattern they can get into of thinking about wellness.
Yes, exactly. When you start to talk to people about we're all cells, how many times throughout our education do we know we talk about the cell. We have a cell project in 6th grade. We have one in 9th grade. We have biology. Sure. We have all these things. And so I think the average person can accept we are made up of cells, right? And our cells function in a certain way. And so there's only a few things really on this earth that you can actually get into your cell. One is essential oils. And that's something that I actually been using essential oils for about 10 years. When I wanted to give up ibuprofen, I took a lot of ibuprofen for aches and pains and whatever else. And so looked to give up ibuprofen, and I started to use essential oils to replace some of the pain, for pain. And I learned then that essential oils have a frequency, and essential oils can actually go directly into your cell. So in the same idea that frequency can impact your body in that way, there are devices that actually harness and combine various frequencies, and we have one of those at Greystone at Balance. My dad used it in his recovery from a spinal abscess 2 years ago and had amazing results. And so this device it's energy. It's an energy coil and noble gases that surround it, and it produces light, harmonics, voltage, pulse electromagnetic frequency. So those things can change your cell. They energize your cells. Kind of like, you have to charge your cell phone. You have to charge the cells in your body. It's kind of a basic.
And so going back to the history of it, when they had chiropractic hospitals, they had lead-lined rooms. I don't know if you know this, but at that time even, they knew that radio waves, which were just really beginning, seemed to be making some people sick. And so they would work on people, and then they would put them in these lead-lined rooms to make sure that there was no frequency that was uncontrollable going through them. And they had really, I mean, there were studies that showed really good results with that. And so I think a lot, and I'm kind of down the rabbit hole on this, but I think a lot about everything that's going through me all the time. And so if you can find some kind of frequency that makes the cells heal, which I have seen help, it's amazing. And that might be what someone's looking for, that's really on a plateau and they've gotten stuck in their health journey.
Yes, I agree. There's a lot of things. Some of this, you might consider it just sort of coming back to basics. For some people, it's woo-woo. My daughter said, Mom, you're helping people get over the woo-woo bridge, right? Like these things are woo-woo. We don't know if this works. It's out there, out of the box, as you say.
Yes.
But actually, when you talk through it and when you see it, and then when you use it and it helps, it becomes the real. And so many people today are doing so many things for their health. They're going to the doctor, they're taking medicine, they're taking supplements, they're in the gym, they're doing all these things, but they really aren't healthier and they don't feel better. And sometimes they're missing the point. We offer a combination, and we also do biofeedback scanning, which is another woo-woo thing, but basically your body will give the feedback to what you need to work on, basically. And so we're able to do that through a device called Zytoscan, but we do Zytoscanning and then can help people put together the various modalities that we offer at Balance, or any things you're doing other places too, can help you kind of determine what it is you can use to work on with these integrative alternative therapies.
Absolutely. So it comes down to fundamentals. It really does. Cell health is your health because you're made up of cells.
Yes, and one of the treatments we offer is oxygen. And people are like, well, why do I need oxygen? I've got oxygen. Well, no, you're getting less and less oxygen the older you get, for one thing. The oxygen that you're getting is not pure oxygen. There's all kinds of things, in it. And so that when we talk about fundamentals, there's nothing more fundamental than oxygen and breathing. Same thing with IV. I'll say, if you watch any medical show on TV, the first thing they do when somebody comes in is they give them an IV and they give them oxygen.
Sure.
Right? Like those are two basic things that your body need, and we're not getting them all that we need on a day-to-day basis.
And they feed your cells.
They do. That's exactly right. So
we appreciate you being with us today.
Oh, glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so
Thanks for doing this, Dr. Douglas.
Yeah, and I love doing it. I always try to leave you with a song lyric that I think kind of sums this up. And so I was thinking today, what could we talk about outside the box? I think there's a song that fits this. Video killed the radio star. And the concept of that is there was somebody on the radio that you thought was amazing, and then you saw them and you thought, I don't know if I like this anymore. I feel like with medicine, the more you really look into some of the hardcore treatments and the way things go, that you become less enchanted with what is seen. If you find other things that can do it easier with fewer side effects, it's actually quite amazing. Thank you for watching.